Warm ocean temperatures. Oh, the temperature of the ocean is rising. What's going on out there, Joe?
Well, it's kind of funny. The guys on my side of the issue, I warned them. I kept trying to warn them what was going to happen. Because what happened was I was looking at the sea surface temperatures from the 1950s to the 1980s. They were stable. And because carbon dioxide relies on what we call outgo long wave radiation, the increase of temperatures and of solar. It doesn't absorb incoming radiation. It absorbs the outgoing radiation from the Earth. It needs warming to cause warming. That should be a red flag right off the bat, that it is not what initiates the warming. You need warming to cause warming. So I said, guys, there is something going on because we were steady state through the 80s, and fortunately I have a lot of people I'm friends with that are a lot smarter than me, geologists. And one guy, Dr. Arthur Vitorito, says to me, he calls me up and says, have you looked at what's going on with underwater volcanic activity? And this is totally hidden. What we call geothermal spreading began to increase in the late 80s and early 90s. And it is, if you look at that article I had, CFACT, okay, you will see the direct correlation of the increase in underwater volcanic activity. What we know, because it's sort of like, it's like the Hunter Biden laptop. Just don't look over there, right?
Right.
No, I wrote an article about that, how it's like that. Just don't bother looking, right? So what happens is the sea surface temperature started going up. So even when you have these periods where it's leveled off, if it's warming, you take off the La Nina, what happens? And what was very interesting
They don't even talk about that anymore. They don't talk about El Nino, La Nina, none of that.
Well,
is
no, and
factored into it.
So I was trying to say to the guys, this is our San Jacinto, in that we literally, you have pulled them into their own trap and they don't even know it, because there's no way that the penetration of back radiation, what we call with CO2, penetrates the top millimeter or two of the ocean, can possibly be warming the ocean so suddenly the way we've seen it. Has to be direct, powerful input. What have we seen? The increase in underwater volcanic activity. Let me ask you a question, guys. If you were to warm a pan of water, would you use a blow dryer or would you use a stove? Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is, what has that done? That has spread out the global wind oscillation, precipitation, and moisture, so there are less clouds in the tropics. There are less clouds in the tropics. The last big long track hurricane was Irma. All these other ones they're coming across. You can see them coming across. They don't develop till they get into the coast. They have to get away from what we call the main development region, which shows there's a distortion going on. And sure enough, when you look at what's going on over the last 15 years, there's been a marked decrease in cloudiness over the tropical Pacific, the tropical Atlantic. What do you think is going to happen if there's more sunlight coming into the pattern? It's just like out in the West. We've cleaned the air. We've cleaned the air so much in the West. We don't have a lot of sulfur dioxide in the air like we used to, and that's particulate matter. And so some of the warming in the West, most of the warming is because of the warming of the Pacific that has occurred, but some of it is because we've cleaned the air.
Wow. So you're saying that the reason that we have such we're not able to put out these forest fires. Is that where you were getting at with?
Well,
what
I'm saying,
precipitation created because we cleaned the air so much?
The precipitation processes are all there. Yeah. Okay. I'm talking about in the tropics. All the bang for the buck.
I thought you were talking about out west. I can't keep up with you. I'm sorry.
The one thing I could chain wrestle the weather. Put it that way.
We know.
When I wrestled, I couldn't wrestle, but I could chain. I know what chain wrestling is. Just move from one thing to another. No, the warming that is occurring. All right. I want you to think about this. The oceans have 99% of the thermal bang for the buck. All right. It's the oceans. 1% is not going to push around 99%. 0.042% of 1% is not going to push it around. And since man's contribution to the CO2 budget is only 0.03%, do you realize how small your carbon footprint actually is?
Yeah.
And by the way, you guys, here's what you got to do. You got to quit breathing.
Yeah. I know. It's a pollutant.
Let me.
There are days where I consider.
I know you guys. I know this is your show, and I come on and it becomes my show. But what happens is I want you to think about this. Okay, think about it. The good Lord created animals to exhale 100 times more CO2 than they inhale. Now, we all need oxygen. Where does that CO2 go? It goes into plants. What do plants do? They put oxygen back into the atmosphere. They become more resistant. You know what I was amazed at? I drove up here from Houston yesterday, and I'm looking, I go, wait a minute. Everybody's telling me how bad it is in Texas. And I remember when I was here in 2011, man, it was just like a desert down here. I mean, everything was parched.
It's green
the grass
like crazy
is green,
right now.
And
It's great.
That's the other thing.
Yesterday it was 89 degrees here,
Yeah, you had the thunderstorm go through in the morning.
which was nice.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the plants have become more drought resistant because of CO2.
Yep.
So the basic ending is this. The basic idea is this. Look, don't believe me. If it's important to you, if it means something to you, go look for yourself. Go look at the entire picture. Don't have a matter concealed from you, from other men. Go look at it. Always, always, always ask something. It was so opposite of what we were in the 60s and 70s, where a journalist was always, well, that's what they're telling you, but let's go look at the other way.
Do you hate scrolling social media for the important news stories? Well, subscribe to our newsletter. Go to theblaze.com/newsletter.